What we're seeing at the moment is that the people that are standing out the most online are the ones that are still showing up as...
Hi, I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and this is, well, hello anxiety. In a world that often moves too fast, we're here to pause, breathe, and understand anxiety together. Each episode will explore practical strategies, share honest conversations, and uncover the science behind anxiety and well-being, all while creating a space where it's okay to not be okay. Let's continue this journey together. If you're a woman who's been holding onto an idea for something that you want to build or create, maybe something that you've been keeping close to your heart, you haven't told anybody, it's just sort of something for you at the moment, or maybe you've shared it, maybe you've even taken a few steps towards building it, or you are deep in the journey of owning and growing a business. But no matter where you are along this journey, a lot of anxiety can show up, fear can get in the way, and it can stop us from doing the things that we want to do, showing up in the way that we want to show up and making the difference that we want to see in the world. We can worry what others might think, and we can also get really self-conscious and lose confidence around showing up and being visible, like filming an Instagram reel or writing a LinkedIn post or sharing our opinion in a really confident way. You know, those sorts of things can create a lot of anxiety and hold women back. And I wonder if this sounds relatable to you in any way, shape or form. You might find that this episode changes absolutely everything, because not only is my guest today an absolute superstar when it comes to helping women be more visible in their businesses, she is a gorgeous friend of mine. And I'll tell you a quick story, because Fi Mims is my guest today, and I learned about Fi when I was in a coffee shop. Have I told you this story yet, Fi? I probably have, yeah. Yes. I was in a long coffee queue in COVID, and I'd done my dog walk, and this was my chance to talk to anyone and everyone, because I was so starved of connection, as so many were. Other introverts more like pretty happier at home than I was. And I was chatting with a mum from school who told me she was in at the time you had a membership, and your business has evolved now. And I'm like, who is this amazing woman in our school community that I have not met? And so I went home, Googled Fi, and Fi is also, I'll tell you a little bit more about Fi, but Fi's also an exceptional branding photographer, and I needed pics. So I got in touch with Fi, and I just knew that it was a match made in heaven when you said to me, you don't have to tidy your whole house if I come to your house to take photos. You can just do the corner where we're taking the photo and leave everything else. And I was like, oh, this is my kind of gal. So Fi is an award-winning personal branding photographer. She's a business mentor, and she's a coach who helps women find the clarity, because we need to know what it is we're actually doing and why, as well as the confidence to bring their ideas to life, to help them grow their businesses and to build their brand and show up in ways that are us, that are truly authentic. And if you've seen the photo of the podcast art that used to promote the podcast, that's the photo that Fi took. And the new podcast art, if you haven't seen it, it's blue. That's a photo that Fi took as well. And Fi and I also play basketball together, because at the end of COVID, Fi kind of said, hey, let's get out, let's get back into life. Who wants to join a basketball team? I said yes, and have never looked back. So huge welcome. Fi's with me here in the studio. Thank you for joining me. And it's just I'm so excited to just dive in.
Oh, I am so excited too. And I mean, I'm so glad you stood in that coffee queue that day.
Yes.
It's been a long time since then, hasn't it? And just for your listeners, Jodi is an absolute gun on the basketball court, in addition to being incredible at what she does for work as well. So look out, if you ever need a fill-in, maybe you should give her a call.
Oh, thank you. Seeing as how I was a netballer for so long, just the only thing is, and if any opposition are listening, once you approach me when I'm dribbling the ball, I will pass that ball off like it's a hot potato. Thank you, Fi. Thank you. It's been so many years. We've done so much together. We've been away at conferences together and just been out for dinner, lots of things. So I'm super grateful. It just goes to show, doesn't it? Like one chance meeting, like one podcast episode, just hearing the right thing at the right time can literally, like meeting you, change the direction of my business and my life in the best ways. And we're here to talk about business today, but having photos with you and you helping me to feel confident showing up, be me, and then I loved them so much that I just wanted to share them.
Yeah.
And it, you know, one of them is kind of this photo that will be so recognisable for me, which we're actually just about to have more photos soon. Yeah. So you'll be hearing this episode in 2026, but we're recording at the end of 2025. So those new photos might be out in the world. But you just that really cemented this idea of me as a business owner and really getting serious about kind of putting myself out there more and sharing more about what I know I can share that will make a difference for people. But you work with so many women, and so many women are held back, aren't they? You know, anxiety is a huge part of kind of putting ourselves out there and saying what we think, which puts ourselves open for judgment, maybe disagreement, possibly trolling, if we're thinking about the online kind of posts that we need to share to kind of grow our businesses. And we need to be able to stand in our truth about what we believe in and what we think. Yeah. So what are some of the common things that you kind of see about the women that you work with that kind of are standing in the way of them kind of stepping forward and saying, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how I do it, and sort of moving forward?
Yeah. Firstly, thank you for such a lovely intro as well.
You're welcome.
I'll try and live up to that in our conversation today.
Well, if you don't, we're just canning the whole thing, you know.
I suppose just to take a step back, I mean, as you mentioned, I am also a personal branding photographer, which I've been a photographer for well over 20 years now, and probably about 15 of those have been mostly focused on photographing women in business. And probably over the last 4 or 5 years, my niche, although I do photograph corporates, men and women, my niche is really women who are sort of in that 40 plus bracket. And so I suppose just to clarify with your audience, I'm 52 myself. So I sort of very much understand and get where we are at this stage in our life, and having built my own business and gone through all those hurdles of having to show up and be visible online. And I still do a lot of photography and love it. And the reason I went into coaching and mentoring is because of the blocks I could still see with women. So I loved the photographs, and then, you know, my clients, bless them, they love their photographs as well. And like you said, it helps them show up. But sometimes that's not enough. Like, you know, I still had and probably have clients who get the photos, but even just posting the photos is hard, right?
Yes.
Let alone writing the caption and sharing an opinion, or God forbid, promoting themselves, yes. Right? So there are so many blocks. And to get back to your question, I think the overall one is, well, there's two, I think. One is, what are people going to say about me?
Yeah.
And the other one is, who am I to even take up this space? And
yeah.
I think, you know, there are a lot more conversations happening these days around, you know, women and their visibility and their ability to take up space, which I love. I think, yes. You know, it's so great that this is finally happening. And I think those blocks stem from a place where we aren't brought up to take up space and to be, I don't even want to use the word loud, but to share our opinions. So that is an issue in itself. And I think by nature, this is a very generalization type comment, but I think by nature we are very nurturing, and women want to be helpers, and it just doesn't feel comfortable, I think, for a lot of us to be on the, you know, at the front of the room, leading the conversation. I think, you know, it comes down to our personality types, maybe the way we're brought up and who we are and our experience in the world. But, you know, for a lot of the women I work with, that's an awkward place for them to be at. So to step into that, and as a small business owner, you can't build a business without being visible these days, right? If you're a personal brand, you know that. Yes. I know that. But yes, you have to work through those blocks, and that takes a lot of time. A lot of work. It does,
because it's not just it's one thing, isn't it, to know what to do. That we know that you know, if you have photos taken, and even if that's not in your budget to have professional photos taken, you can, you know, just start putting yourself out there so people know that you're the face of the business. They know what you're doing, and you know that. It's one thing to know what to do, but it's another thing to have that inner self-belief, isn't it? That inner self-belief that, and I remember for me, because I've been through this as well, you know, that's why I wanted to talk to you today, because owning a business gives, like, well, let's talk about the bonuses of owning a business in a minute. I'm going to ask you about that. But
meeting great friends.
Yeah, exactly. But the flexibility, especially as a mum, just the ability to kind of like carve your own path and make the difference you want to make in the world is so empowering and joyful. Hard work as well, no question. But there's this self-belief that has to come. And I remember I heard something that made a difference for me once, just one particular, some amazing woman that I was following at the time many years ago. And she said that if you don't share what you've learned and know, then people are missing out because of it. And I wonder, you probably speak that to the people that you work with as an idea that, well, let's flip it and turn it around and make you think about what are people missing out on if you don't do what it is you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I love that comment. It's such a great thing to hold on to, right? I think what I usually say to women is if you don't show up, how are people supposed to even know you're there and able to help them? I mean, it is as simple as that. And the more you show up and are visible, the more opportunity you have to get people finding you, learning about what you do. Oh, yes, that's exactly who I need right now to solve this problem for me. But we're not really often giving ourselves enough of that chance. Look, one of the things in terms of, having your own business is such an amazing thing. If you are trying to build a business and you are struggling with this part of it, one of my big tips is just surround yourself with women that are not only ahead of you on that path and showing you that it can be done, but also they're going through the same challenges as you.
Yeah.
I think that's really crucial. And back to actually your first question around, what is it that I think holds women back? I think particularly at this stage and age of life where we're maybe in midlife, particularly for us at this age, we do start to feel like we become less relevant. So again, surrounding yourself with women that are absolutely kicking it, at this age, and I work with women who are in their 60s and still building and running successful businesses, right? So we don't have to be less visible. And we see all these, 20 and 30-somethings coming up behind us, and they're guns, right? Particularly on things like platforms like social media. They're faster and they've got the energy and the capacity, and I love that. We don't have that at our age, but I think we often don't because we are juggling kids, potentially aging parents. We just don't have the same energy we often have.
Perimenopause.
Yes. There are so many things, right?
Yeah.
We have to look after ourselves more. We have to sleep more. But we have our wisdom and years of experience that we can lean into.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of the women I work with, I think there's this belief that we just have to show up 5 or 6 times a week on our platforms. But I find that at this age and stage, it's okay. And look, it does depend on what season of business you're in as well and what you're trying to do at the time. But it's okay to post less, but be more intentional.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's so many, different ways to look at it. But I think it's really important not to try to be what you think everyone else is doing that's successful, but what actually fits with your capacity, your life, and just, showing up, as you said, as your true self with intention. That is the best thing you can do.
That was something that you really supported me to do when we met, and, I started to not only obviously have these photos, which I just love, and that blue dress, everyone, look, I have parted ways with that blue dress. It was difficult. It was really, I loved that dress, and it's become obviously because of the photos that you took, it's sort of become a real representation of me and my business. But I'm still me. I'm just got a bit of a new wardrobe. But authenticity and being ourselves, showing up as ourselves is, I think it's really easy, isn't it, to look online and to look at what everyone else is doing. And to the point you were making before about kind of this stage of life. So as a listener, depending on where you are at in your life, you'll have time energy differences and support around you, and all of that matters. But it's easy to look online, I think, and see what other people are doing and how they're showing up, and particularly if other people are really successful. And that comparison can then cause you to pull yourself back a little bit and become smaller. Who am I to show up? What have I got to say? What have I got to add? And those sorts of things. Are they the sorts of questions that you hear from women?
Absolutely. All the time. And just that lack of knowing what to say. But when they've got that thing, it's like, well, what are people going to think about this? Who am I to sort of, say this when someone else is already saying it over there, right, on my left and on my right? But you have to keep in mind that, you all have different audiences you're attracting. Everyone's personality is going to speak to someone. And we all have our own voice, our own way of saying things that is going to resonate. Like the way you hold these interviews, people are going to love that for the way, the questions you ask, the way you respond, as opposed to someone else, right? So we have to really lean into the belief that there are people out there that want to hear from us and learn from us, because that is so true.
Yeah.
I was just going to add to that as well that, I have lived through this myself because, back in probably 2018, 2019, my photography business was doing very well, but I was just at capacity, working a hell of a lot and working a lot. And I knew that something had to change. And ironically, whilst I was helping women and clients like you show up and be more visible online, I wasn't really doing that with my own personal brand. Yeah. So that's when I started flipping it and doing that for myself. And I had to go through all that, like the whole, who am I to, post photos of myself everywhere? I probably found that one a little bit easier because doing that for my clients, I knew that was worthwhile and I didn't really have an issue with that. But it was probably more sharing my voice, my thoughts, my take on things. I found that quite hard, and I still have days when I find it hard. Like, that's not something I always lean into easily. But I find just taking just those small steps. And again, if we're talking about visibility with the clients I work with, often when I mention about being visible, our minds eventually immediately go to the worst case scenario, which for most women is doing live video.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be live video. It can be, posting just a photo of yourself with a caption. It can be maybe doing 30 seconds of talking to camera on your Instagram stories. Yeah. Visibility is also about getting out in person and seeing people. It's about podcasting. Like, this is visibility for me, being on an interview. I think we just have this view of visibility always being tough and pushing ourselves and putting ourselves in places that maybe we shouldn't be. But it's not like that at all, right? And we can lean into visibility or forms of visibility that feel good for us. So that can often help as well. Like, if you are someone who loves to write, then write and, share that with your newsletters, through your social media, write articles, get some media. But if you're someone who loves having conversations, start a podcast like you did, right? And help people that way. And if you are someone who loves jumping on video and talking to camera, and I have women I work with that are great at that, then lean into that. So you've got to lean into your strengths and do it where your people are and speak to them, and that really helps as well.
Oh, it really does. And it's kind of start where you're a bit comfortable too, isn't it? And knowing that when we talk about anxiety, there's a part of the brain that really kind of kicks on when there's a threat detected, because our brain, its job is to keep us alive before anything else. And if there's a potential threat that we're thinking about, I've got to record that reel, I've got to record that video, I've got to do this post. Well, first of all, you don't have to do anything, but it's important to do it because it does grow your business and it grows your visibility and it will grow your brand and your income and your choices and your options. So remembering that it's a choice, I think, first and foremost, but also just knowing that it's there's a great quote I've got written on a board in my office, and it says, "We get better with practice, and everything is practice." Yeah. And honestly, there's no substitute. You have to do it. But what happens is, and particularly if anxiety is a part of your journey, that part of your brain's going to switch on and say, this is dangerous. This could lead to rejection. This could lead to finger pointing, maybe being talked about. Trust me, it really doesn't. And if it does, you don't know about it and you're too busy to care anyway, because you're really driven by your values. But that's why it makes us feel the way it does. So when you're coaching people to sort of take that first step, and look, for some people that first step could be, I'm going to do my first live. I'm going to do my first live on Insta. Or for others, it could be, I'm going to take a photo, take a selfie and post it, or anything in between. Or even just, I'm going to take a photo of something and post it and start a social media presence. What is it that you see happens to women? Because you've probably got countless stories of people who you've seen who are just like, no way can I do that, to now like really feeling super comfortable. Can you share a kind of a story or two with us that won't identify anybody?
I'm trying to think of one that comes straight to mind. I mean, there's so many, right? With photo shoots, for example, I have definitely worked with some women who are just so scared of the camera and having a photo taken of them that they are almost in tears, which, it doesn't happen often, but that's like anxiety at its most extreme, right? Yeah. So I suppose one thing I do to help that before the day is, really nurturing them in the lead up, working with them so that by the day, even if they're nervous, they're very confident that we're going to get the shots and that I know what I'm doing, but that they know what outfits they're wearing, they know what shots they need, I understand their business, we've got the location sorted. So, yes, they're going to be nervous still, but they have the structure around them that is going to help on the day. And then on the day, for me, as the photographer, it's about really meeting them where they're at in terms of what they're feeling, how they're showing up on the day. So if it's someone who's really excited, I sort of meet them there. And if it's someone who's really nervous and maybe more introverted, then meeting them there and trying to sort of bring them out that way, letting them play their favourite tunes on the Bluetooth speaker, just really nurturing them and acknowledging what they're feeling as well. I think that's really important, giving them time to relax. When it comes over to something like socials, again, it's a little bit about structure. So saying to them, you've got to have a system in place, because one thing we find in business is that we're not always in the mood, right? And I had one woman say to me yesterday, I can only create content when I'm in the mood, which is a problem itself, right? So if we have sort of those systems where we sometimes we have to show up sometimes when we're not in the mood, right?
Yeah.
So having a plan, allocating that time, trying to remove the emotional side of it, like around that fear, but also just keeping your eye on the prize, which is, when we think about showing up online and that fear comes up, we're so in the moment. And one thing that really helped me and definitely helps my clients is, what's the end result of this? Like, what's the worst that could happen, right? And often the worst that could happen, like you said, it's actually not that bad.
Yes.
Just not even going to know about it, right? If someone didn't like our post.
Yeah.
So you've got to ask yourself those questions. But what would happen what's the best that could happen? The best that could happen is that at least even one person could listen or see your post and take something away from it that impacts their life, and it becomes a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
So keeping your eye on, I suppose it's your purpose, right? I talk about that. Your purpose has to be greater than your fear.
Yes.
That is what really gets a lot of my clients over the line. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's a little bit sort of up here. It's not so structured, but I think you have to try and... It's all about mindset, Mindset is 90%, I think, of what we do, because you can have all the things in place. But if you don't have a strong mindset that can work through those problems, that's where you can continually keep getting stuck, because often, we find the excuses to not show up because our mindset is not backing us.
Yes. And our brain will say, don't do it. It's too risky. I remember you've reminded me of two things: that the complete and utter overwhelming anxiety I had starting the podcast, but this drive to give back in COVID. And that was what moved me forward. And since having 4 years of podcasting, the difference talking about making a difference, I'm and thank you, and I'll say this now to you as the listener, thank you for the messages, for the reviews on Apple and Spotify, for the little email notes, for the little replies to my newsletter, for the little comments on social media, for the I just needed to hear this today. But one woman wrote to me and said, because I'd done a podcast with Danielle Miller about suicide, and a listener had a daughter who had attempted to take her life, and she was an adult daughter, and so she was driving to the hospital to visit her daughter, who was thankfully being cared for, was safe and being cared for. And she said it was a long drive, and she listened to that episode to get her safely to and from the hospital. And I've got goosebumps just thinking about it. Now, thankfully she was able to write and tell me, or I never would have known. But they're the stories we hear about the work that we do, that people do write and let us know.
Yeah.
But there are countless other ones that people, because people are busy, they appreciate it. It makes a difference. So the work that you're doing is impacting people. You'll start to hear about it, but you won't hear about all the things you do. But, you know, like the parent who, another guest spoke about a parent who was agoraphobic, wouldn't leave the home or could go maybe a kilometre or two from home. But the question was asked, what if you had a family member who was in trouble 3 kilometres from home? And the psychologist I was talking to said his client had said in answer to that, of course I'd be there in a heartbeat because it's important enough to overcome that fear. And so what's the first thing that you help your clients to do when they're feeling like, okay, whether they've just had their photo shoot or they haven't even been there yet, but they just want to start, and they're really sort of fearing that judgment. How do you help them to kind of like sort of hone in on why this is so meaningful and why this is important to be able to move forward even if that discomfort is there?
At the end of the day, if you are in business, people buy because of who you are, not because of what you do. They do love what you do, but someone else will also probably do what you do, right? In today's world.
Yes.
So I think it is that constant reminder of, you know, if you're not showing up, you're not giving people that opportunity to connect with you, and business is about connection. And I think it probably comes back to what we said at the start. Don't try to be someone else. Just try to be you. Yeah. Just show up and be you. People will respond to that. And also, I talk a lot about taking imperfect action. It does not have to be perfect. Yes. And actually I will tell you a story because I'm terrible at remembering stories, but I've just remembered one now. But There was a woman in my mastermind just earlier this year, and she was very experienced in her industry, but she'd just gone from like a team into her own business. Yeah. So it was very green in terms of the visibility, promoting her own business and just building it. But she was really keen on doing videos. So she just started pumping out the videos day after day. And, you know, from, I suppose, the eyes of an expert, they weren't perfect. But she was just learning every week how to do them better, whether it was the scripting, the lighting, the backdrop, the tech. Like, she just slowly got better and better. And it took a few months. But one thing she did come back and say to me at, you know, the end of her time in the mastermind was that even though she hated those original videos, she still put them out there, and she's so glad she did because, you know, 6 months down the track, she was producing so much better content because she had taken those small steps to build that confidence. And it can be really hard to get over that fear to do that, right? But I think also remember, like, we're not saving the world here. You know, we're just showing up. I don't think people think about yes, we're connecting with people, but in the big scheme of things, people aren't thinking about our posts and how we look as much as we think they are. Yeah. Actually, probably not at all. They don't care how we look. Yes. People actually want imperfect people to look up to because we, you know, particularly as women, we don't want perfect in front of us, right? No. It doesn't exist anyway. Yeah. But we are going to respond and connect with people who we see a little bit of ourselves in. Yeah. So, you know, and that is about being real, being authentic, being imperfect, sharing the good and the bad, sharing your everyday behind the scenes stuff, as well as sharing the value that's going to help your people. So I really, really press that point. And, you know, at the end of the day, you can always go back and delete a video as well.
You can. Yes, you can. You can. You're so right, honestly, Fi. And I was thinking about this idea that I used to have that I'd have to sort of like do my hair and put some makeup on. I hardly wear any makeup anyway. Like, this is me with makeup on today. You know, it's just not something that I've ever really learned to do well. And I'm pretty comfortable sort of showing up without like, and I'll just record a video sometimes when I've finished at CrossFit. I'm just on a walk when I could walk because I'm still in a moon boot. Hopefully by the time you hear this episode, I'm out of my moon boot. Oh my gosh, it's been over 7 weeks. And that was so freeing. It was so freeing to just go, if I feel compelled to share something that's important, I can just do it. And I tell you what you just said is so true, that when everything's perfect and polished, it's not as relatable. And we don't connect as well because we don't feel like we're like this person because no one's perfect and polished all the time. And you also got me thinking too about, you might not necessarily be thinking of branching out from a workplace into your own business. You might still remain in a business, but want to be a leader in the work that you do, that you can still build your own profile on LinkedIn and on social media to share and show your thought leadership and your expertise. You don't have to start your own business. And so these ideas are, it's about starting, isn't it? It's about starting.
Absolutely. And I think there is actually a real move with organisations these days that they are leaning into personal branding within their own team and sort of encouraging them to show up. And obviously it's great for the business, right? Yes. But absolutely fantastic for the individual if they want to, it's share their values and what drives them, and it benefits the business, but it benefits them in terms of building their own confidence, but also career progression, really.
Yes.
So I love that. I think that's so true.
Fi, your expertise it runs so deep, and you've had connections with women from the very start of a business journey through to kind of, leveraging or leveling up or making a career shift. What's something that I haven't asked you that you think is important for us to kind of like cover off in this chat about kind of visibility and putting yourselves out there no matter where you are at in your professional career?
I think that what's really relevant to right now today is that, we all know we're heading into this AI world where we've now got this amazing tool that we can use in business, in life, regardless, any part of our lives. And it is definitely being taken up a lot by small business owners. And I'm an advocate of it, because I think as small business owners, we don't often have the capacity that larger organisations have or the budget. So I think having something that is a time saver is such an amazing tool.
Yeah.
But like anything, you have to use it, leverage it the right way. And what we're seeing at the moment is that the people that are standing out the most online are the ones that are still showing up as their authentic selves.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious who is just creating a lot of shortcuts and ease by using AI to create captions, to comment on other people's posts, in all those forms. People are even starting to use AI to generate imagery. That's, it's things that are going to happen, but it is the ones that you can still use AI to come up with your ideas and help craft those captions in your tone of voice, or using your own stories, experience, case studies, so that at least, I'm always saying to the women, just try to infuse yourself and your stories in as much of your content as possible, so that if it can't be replicated by someone else.
Yeah.
Because you just want to try avoiding posting something that could be posted by the person sitting next to you.
Yes.
Try and make it unique. That's quite relevant right now if you want to really be able to stand out. Because one of the problems as well is that a lot of women do show up and then they're like, oh, but I'm not being seen, and like I'm not getting any reaction or comments. So it's leaning into, your own stories, and as we just said, like it could be showing up on video and actually talking to camera, because that's you, right? You can't get better than that.
Yeah.
But sharing things that are unique to you, your personality, your work, it's going to fast track your visibility.
Yeah, it is. And what you just, that's just such gold, because what you said earlier about it's the connection. It's us, because it's trust. And I remember, it might have been Marie Forleo. I don't know if you ever followed her work, but I used to a long time ago. And she would talk about people need to know, like, and trust you. And trust for me is just so huge. And I think about the places that I might buy or invest, my hard-earned money and time with learning from someone or buying something. And I think, and that's what, like, for me here with the podcast, I feel like a great sense of responsibility, because people trust me. They trust me, and I don't take that for granted. And so I make sure that I'm bringing in guests who I trust, so that's kind of the responsibility that I feel I have. And we put that in other people. The only way we can build trust, especially when it comes to something big, like, it's a big deal to have a photo shoot and put photos online. Like, for us now who've been doing it for years, it's not, but you've never lost sight of that. You've never lost sight of that. You understand how hard that is for some people to begin, and you nurture them right through. And for me, it's a big deal to be somebody that people lean on to support them with their own mental health and that of their family. And so AI can just breach that trust, can't it? It can just, because once you start using AI, you can pick it a mile away. And so it's a tool, but it's not a replacement, like you say. And one of the ways I'll use it is when I write, I write like I speak, and I've got a lot to say. Such a chatterbox. And so sometimes I just need help paring something back a little bit. So I might write something, especially for my newsletter, because I want them to be read in like under a few minutes each week. And so I'll just say, I've written this, okay, and I'll just like pop it into ChatGPT and say, right, please don't change anything about the tone, the intent, but please just make it a little bit more concise, or I'll say, make this word limit, fit in this word limit. And then I'll keep working it. So I think we've got a responsibility to use it as a tool, but not rely on it as well. Because the minute someone thinks, well, like you say, the person next to you could have posted it, that you've lost what you've worked hard to build, that people can trust you and know that you can help them with the challenges that they've got. So, so good, so good. Oh, goodness. Last question. For the listener that's thinking, okay, this is the episode I needed to hear. It's the start of 2026. I've got big hopes and goals for myself, but I know I've got to start, and starting can be hard. So remember what I said earlier, which was we get better with practice, and everything is practice. I think that's just such a nice way to kind of approach things. So what is something that somebody could do just to take that first step forward?
That's a big question, Jo.
I know.
No, it's not.
I mean, maybe not just the one thing. Maybe share a handful of things, because I know your head's probably going, well, hang on a second, how long have we got?
I think just because we've covered a lot of stuff, I'm thinking, what can I say that might be different? But I think it's probably going back to that point about surrounding yourself with other people on that same journey. If you're feeling so scared and you just have so much fear around showing up, I think you have to surround yourself with people that are doing the work. They could be far ahead from you. They could be where you're at. But people on the same path, because they're going to resonate with your challenges. They're going to cheer you on to help you do the work. And that could be a free community. It could be finding a biz buddy. It could be coming and, following me or others on socials, obviously you, or, joining a membership or a mastermind where you want maybe some more high level support.
Yeah.
But just put yourself amongst the people doing the work, because they're going to help you along your journey. And I think no matter where we're at in our business journey, that is like the number one thing that I think helps me the most as well. Just continually surrounding myself with those people.
Oh, well said. I couldn't agree more. And it normalizes the challenges, doesn't it?
Yep.
Because it can feel like when you're excited about an idea and you've got something that you want to do, a business idea, whether it's a product or a service, it's exciting, but it's a slog. There's a lot of hard work. And so you might see the shiny online, as we do, but it's normalizing the work behind the scenes that makes you the best at what you can do, to support people in the best ways you know how, and to do the work so that people know that you exist so that you can help them. And I think that normalizing that, because when you are a business owner, often you're a solopreneur. I looked up some stats yesterday, and what I learned is that there is a huge proportion of women in business, and also a large number of businesses are small businesses, 1 to 20 people, and a lot of those are 1 or 2. And so being in a community and just normalising the work, the challenges, the ups, the downs, and having people to celebrate with, that's a really beautiful way to finish. So look, you're amazing to work with. How can people find you and work with you? What do you do? Because I'm sure listeners are thinking, well, okay, I like Fi Mims, and whether that's for personal branding photography or to come on board and do some coaching with you. Tell listeners where they can find you online and how you could support them.
Yes. Well, firstly, if you can't find me online, I'm in trouble.
Yes, you are. And write to me, DM me on Instagram and tell me, and I'll have a word.
But you can find me I hang out mostly on Instagram and also LinkedIn. So you can find me at Fi Mims, under my name. And that's the same with my website, so fimims.com. But yeah, come and find, whether if LinkedIn's your platform, come and connect. If Instagram's your platform, come and connect. I am also on Facebook, although I'm not on there as much. There are just too many platforms these days.
I know.
Can we just say that? There's too
Yes,
many.
you don't have to be on everything, do you? You can't do it all. So pick one or two. Yeah.
And if you'd want some sort of ongoing free value, you can just opt into my newsletter, and I send them weekly, and that's just like a safe, like gentle place to start as well. But yeah, come and connect and say hi. I love doing a bit of a voice note on Instagram or LinkedIn. But yeah, you can find me online those places.
Oh, awesome. And she does a lovely voice note on the messages as well. I love your voice notes. Thank you. And thank you so much for, I love our friendship. I've loved seeing how your business has evolved, like just over the years that we've known each other, and and the work that you do, and just to call you a friend and like to hit the basketball court. I cannot wait to get back onto the basketball court with you.
My gosh.
So thanks.
We miss you so much on the court.
Oh gosh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would say that my business, my final comment will be that my business would not have evolved in the way it has if I didn't start being more visible in my business and backing myself. And we could have another 3-hour chat about this, couldn't we?
We could. We absolutely could. And just as a last word, it takes time. We have to be patient.
Yeah.
We have to be patient because it's just lock in, as my 15-year-old daughter would say. We've got to lock in. Mum, I've got to lock in for maths today. We just got to just stay the course, know that ultimate goal that we're working towards, know that why, do the work, and the rewards do come over time. And so much more we could talk about, but thank you so much for your time today. So I just want to also say Fi Mims, FIMIMS.com.au is the website. So thanks again, Fi, and we'll obviously be chatting on the way home. It could probably be another podcast episode, couldn't it?
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun.
Thanks, Fi. Okay, see ya. Bye. Thank you for sharing this time with me on Well, Hello Anxiety. Remember, understanding anxiety is the first step to managing it. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Take things one moment at a time. Focus on what you can control and know that you are not alone on this journey. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone who might need to hear it too. I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and I'll meet you right back here next week.